Hello students, welcome back to the BSc First Sem Basic English course. I am Dr. Vidya Patil, serving as Assistant Professor of English at Government First Grade Women's College, Bidar. In today's video, we'll be discussing about the first lesson of your syllabus, that is Women's Education in India. In this lesson, we will try to understand what is the status of women's education in India, what are the problems being faced in this sphere, and what are the possible solutions. The writer in this lesson tries to explain how the role of women has been changing continuously, and as a result, our approach towards education of women also needs a drastic change. So come on students, let us now try to read and understand this lesson. So students, as I've already told you, the first lesson prescribed for you is Women's Education in India. This lesson is authored by Bal Subramaniam PS. In this lesson, the writer is telling us about how education is very important for a society. The development of a society can be judged by the level of education of its people. Education is an important catalyst for social upliftment. That is, in order for any society to develop, it needs to educate its people. According to the 2001 census, the literacy rate in India was 65%. If you look at the pie chart, which is there on your screen, you can see that the literacy rate of men was 75.85%, whereas for women it was just a meager 54%. This shows that girls have still not been able to get the same or equal literacy rate as men. And that is one of the major reasons why women still have to face so many problems and have to undergo so much of suffering. In this lesson, the author argues for women's education in India. He feels that we need to give more emphasis on women's education in order for our country to develop. The writer feels that education for girls must prepare them to abandon the subordinate, dependent, and ascribed role in favor of a complementary, independent, and acquired role. What this means is that at present in our society, we find that women are having a subordinate role. That is, they are considered to be inferior to men. Dependent role. That is, they have to depend on men for their survival and for their existence. And ascribed role. That is, they can only follow those things which have been decided by men. They are not free to make their own decisions. But the writer says that we need women who can become or take on complementary roles. That is, have an equal status with men and learn to be their partners rather than under them or inferior to them. He feels that women should take up independent roles. That is, they should not be dependent on men and should be able to take up ventures on their own. And finally, he suggests that women should have acquired roles. That is, women should be able to take their own decisions, they should be able to carve their own paths, and they should be able to achieve their success on their own. He feels that in this context of modernization, the role of women has to be redefined. Our education system caters to the role of women, which was prevalent around 60 to 70 years back. But since then, there has been a drastic change in the role of women. And so, our education system also needs to be reoriented according to that. Various efforts have been made by the state governments, voluntary organizations, and individuals for the propagation or the spread of women's education in India. But most of these attempts have been sporadic, that is, very few in number, unsystematic, unsystemic, wherein they are not at all having any relation with changes in other systems. They are completely socially non relevant and politically motivated. Also, most of these attempts lack genuine concern for the upliftment of women. So, if we actually want to make a change of the women's education in India, then we really need to bring in changes which are more committed to serve this noble cause. The problem of women's education in India is multidimensional in nature. Education is a subsystem in the various other social systems. Educational problems have their own educational, economic, social, cultural, psychological, and political aspects. So, if we need to find a solution to this problem, it needs to be approached from all these different fronts. Education to be fruitful should be relevant, adequate, and appropriate. At present, we have a general education for 10 years, which prepares boys and girls for the other aspects of life. But all of us have seen that women's roles in all these other aspects of life has been changing tremendously. This will have an impact on the educational system. If an educational system does not take into account these changes which are taking place in the role of women, then its whole purpose becomes dysfunctional because it neither helps prepare women or girls to take on these new roles, nor does it prepare the boys to adjust with the new roles of women. All these years, women were being prepared for a subordinate, dependent, and ascribed role, and this required a different type of education. But today's woman needs to be prepared for a complementary, independent, and acquired role. And for this, they require a liberal and creative type of education. Various educational institutions for women have been set up right from the Anganwadis at the bottommost level to the women's universities at the topmost level. Indian women have been rising to great heights of glory. A lot of acceleration has also been seen in the progress of women's education. But in spite of all these developments, women are still lagging way behind men in their participation in education. This disparity or difference is due to the result of economic and occupational problems. It is also due to the cultural biases which are prevalent in our society. Relatively fewer girls seek admissions in professional courses other than that of medicine and teaching. Again, girls are generally discouraged to go in for higher education and especially for professional courses. The problem of women's education is linked to various other factors. There is a complex interaction between the education of women, marriage, family relationships, social roles and values, and the relationship between men and women. Changes in these different systems takes place at different rates, and sometimes this can lead to some clashes and cause tension in the society. So we need to take into consideration all these changes which are taking place in the society and find a more balanced view towards education of women. So students, It is very essential that we now redefine the roles of women in the modernized world. Also, we need to now formulate an education system which is based on these changing roles of women in the society. So, students, I am sure you have now understood the importance of women's education in India. We need to realize that the role of women has been changing continuously. Therefore, it is necessary that we evolve an educational system which will prepare girls to take on these new changing roles. I am sure, students, that you must have liked this video. Thank you.